thanks, everyone. Thanks for still being here. Only 3 people before you can go back. So today I will talk about the topic of ecosystem. So this morning we had nice speaker talking about next best action engine. We had nice speaker talking about marketing mix modeling. But do you believe it makes sense that your next best action engine recommend you to do a face-to-face interaction if your marketing mix modeling tell you that the marginal ROI is negative? This can happen if your solutions are not talking to each other. And at Roche, we have multiple solutions powered by AI or machine learning, and we have been trying to make sure that they can talk to each other. And I'm not going to present all the synergies, all the interaction. It would not be possible in 20 minutes. I'm just going to take one single example. So my name is Florent. I am working in a company called Roche. We are doing drugs, and I'm located in Switzerland in the global customer experience and insights team. And I am data scientist. And basically, I am leading one of the initiatives that I'm going to present here today. So like everyone here, Roche has been starting a transformation to be more customer-centric. And we started the journey in 2019. And this transformation has been involving a lot of collaboration across different organizations, digital for the channel, marketing technology, insights team, IT. And we have been building a lot of capabilities. And I think all the capabilities here, none of them are pretty new for you. One of the decisions that Roche made when we started the journey was to not rely on vendor solution. It was to internalize 80% of the capabilities. And there have been 2 reasons for that. One was to have a seamless integration between the different capabilities. And the second one was to co-construct the capabilities with the key affiliates to ensure at the end a better localization, a better adoption in general. So if you look at the high-level commercial data analytics setup, which is in fact not purely commercial because it covers as well the customer engagement done by medical, everything starts by the marketing technology. I mean, nothing specific. We have a CRM, we have a tool for the email, we have a tool for the voice of the customer, we capture web interaction, we have a solution to capture the login and password and the consent for the customer, we have a master data in place, we have a solution for the event, and a solution to manage content. At the end, we have a unique platform for all the go-to-market, irrespective if it's global, local, commercial, medical, where all the data flow with the exact same customer identifier. So across all the solutions, we have the same HCP ID. And that solution, and for this platform, we have 3 categories of data. We have the internal data that are generated internally by Roche from the marketing technology system or from finance system, for example. We have the external data that we can get externally, like PubMed, clinical trial, and so on, who are not normally at customer with the Roche customer ID. And we have all the voice of the customer data. And at the end, this is very important because this is the base to start to build the AI and analytics. So before we talk about AI, let's start with the data. So when we talk about internal data today, we have all these type of data that are fully captured, generated with the same customer ID, irrespective of the affiliate. So we have the basic master data, we have all the interaction data, irrespective of the channel, we have the segmentation, we have as well some content, and we have some customer identity management. One element that is very important on the interaction is the field insight. Roche has been investing a lot to educate the field, irrespective if it's MSL or commercial, global or local, to improve the quality of the insight. So here you can see 2 examples of insights that are fully anonymized, and I picked just 2 insights that are targeting competition. So there is no Roche confidential information here, but you can see with one of the insights, for example, that in this country, for this particular customer, the customer shares some frustration because of a patient support program of Novartis. And here it's very important because we have 100,000 of data points for the insight that are captured at doctor level. individual level. Now, if you look at the voice of the customer data, Roche, we started a program to capture the voice of the customer data. We have basically the voice of the customer data post-interaction. So we have today a post-email campaign, post-congress. We are working as well for the customer feedback on the web portal and on the post-face-to-face visit. And the objective is after every event, for example, a customer feedback should be captured. And in the customer feedback, we capture basically the classical corporate CX measurements, such as Net Promoter Score, relevance, effort score, and so on and so on. What Roche has been doing as well is every year we use Qualtrics to run a one-off survey to all customers to measure the level of partnership between Roche and the customer. It's called Partner Score. And in Partner Score, we capture as well the same KPIs like NPS, effort score, and customer satisfaction. It's just that we are asking as well some specific questions, such as, do you trust Roche? Do you believe that we share the same outcome? And from all the different dimensions that we capture, we have a synthetic score from 0 to 100, 100 being we are considered as partner, 0 is there is some work to be done. Now, what regarding the external data? So all of you, without any exception, should have access to this list of data somewhere in the organization. All of you, you have access to PubMed in your company. All of you, you have access to clinical trial in your company. All of you, you can see the conference abstract, the guidelines, or you have social media listening solution. If it's not in commercial, it's necessarily in R&D or medical, but this exists everywhere. The only challenge that you may have is if you look, for example, at PubMed or clinical trial data, the data are not linked or unified with your CRM. Which is why at Roche, we started to use AI for the data unification. So as I mentioned, all the internal data were already unified, so meaning that we have been able to focus on the external data. So here I'm giving you an example. You have a customer called Mark S. Friedman with the location where he's working according to PubMed. And you can see for the same customer, the same information in the CRM. You can see the name is different, the affiliation is different. And we use a Facebook package called FACE. FACE stands for Facebook Artificial Intelligence Similarity Search to make the unification and the linking between the different data sources. And at the end, what we have is for that particular customer, not only the internal data at Dr. ID, Roche Dr. ID level, but we have as well all the publication, all the clinical trial from clinicaltrial.gov. We have, in terms of social media, depending on the country, we have LinkedIn, Twitter, I have LAN Messenger for Asia Pacific. We have been building as well a partnership with Medscape, where in some countries we can know what our customers are reading on Medscape. For example, so this has been one of the pillars of Roche to try to unify the data. One source of data that was interesting as well, we are in a beautiful conference. The agenda is available for 1 or 2 months. So the question that I receive is, can we capture in advance who are going to be the speaker for the next international conference of pharma? ASCO, ESMO, Extremes, Euretina, and so on. So that's how basically we are working on. So every conference has a URL, that's the website of the conference, okay, nothing specific. And we capture basically the HTML code of the website, and we put basically the HTML code in a vector database. And we consider the HTML code as a data, as a text, okay? Then we use similarity search to detect within the website if there is any location in the HTML code where possibly we have a speaker agenda. And then we isolate the HTML containing the speaker agenda. Then we use generative AI to transform the HTML into a proper table with 1 line per HTTP and topics and 1 column basically with first name, last name, and so on. And at the end, everything is linked using FACE to the internal customer ID. And at the end, it looks something like this, where you can see the Roche internal 360 solution, where we have all internal data, external data, VOC data in one single place at HTTP level. You can see that we have at the top some conference calendar, where you can see the conference. The screenshot was taken, I think, a couple of time ago, but normally we have the data before the conference happened. And you can see at the bottom the detail for that conference, how many speakers we have been capturing. The speakers were talking about 1,200 different topics, and for each HCP that has been anonymized here, you can see the session and the topics that they are going to talk. Now, I have a question for the audience. Please raise hand for anyone who has been watching Barbie the movie. Okay? Now, why did you watch Barbie the movie? Did you watch Barbie the movie because someone visited you face-to-face telling you to watch Barbie? Okay? Did you watch Barbie because you received a Barbie email campaign? No? Did you watch Barbie because you attended a webinar on an international conference talking about Barbie? No? Did you watch Barbie because you visited barbiesthemovie.com? Probably not. So if you have been watching Barbies, because probably someone in your family or friend has been asking you, okay, let's go watching Barbie. So if you take the external data that I was showing you before, at Roche, we are working on a customer network where you can map basically the fact that HCPs are co-investigators, co-authors, co-speakers in the same event. With social media, the objective is to map as well the fact that Dr. A follows Dr. B, but Dr. B does not follow Dr. A. And here you can see that this particular customer in the middle, you can see the closest collaborators internationally. You can see the number in the blue bubble, which is the number of collaborations. So for example, this doctor has been collaborating with a customer in Germany. We know in the CRM that it's a TIE that is priority 1. And we know that they have been collaborating 41 times, 20 times as a collaboration in PubMed, and 21 times in the clinical trial co-investigator. And if you click on the link, you can see all the publication and clinical trial that they have been doing together. The color coding, dark blue, showed only that the Roche has been interacting irrespective of the channel with the customer for less than 3 months. It's irrespective of the channel. And so in terms of use case, one of the use cases is for people on the field. I was discussing with someone from Australia, for example. She could not access a customer in particular. So she was looking, okay, but I have a good relationship with, for example, this customer. So maybe if I engage with this customer, that customer could introduce me to the customer that I struggle to engage with. And I think for most of the people here today who are vendors, I think it's your day-to-day life. You go to someone, you ask if that person can introduce you to someone else. Normally, it's a basic. Another element as well is for the people who are in marketing, who is the right speaker to invite depending on the audience of my event. Now, let's get serious, because all of this was just an introduction. What would happen if you would combine the network with the voice of the customer? Then you are going to have a network of voice of the customer. So this is an exclusivity because it goes in production next Wednesday in the application. So for my Roche colleagues, you can see an exclusivity. And here we can change the color coding, the overlay, depending on the voice of the customer data that we have internally. You can select the Net Promoter Score, or you can select the trust and reputation. And in that particular case, you see a doctor that is primarily basically connected to people who are promoters or people who are detractors and so on. So if you have a customer that is surrounded by detractors, there is probably an action to be made, whereas if the doctor is surrounded by promoters, normally you should be okay. Now, let's get really serious. If you remember, at the beginning, I showed you the field insight. So Roche, we have been building internally a GPT solution exclusively trained on internal data, like call notes, field insight, and we are currently working to integrate the medical inquiry and the social media as well that are coming from the customer network initiatives. And from this GPT, like, you can ask and prompt any question, such as, what are the barriers for doctors to prescribe my drugs? Or what are the key differences between my Roche drugs and my competitor from Novartis, for example? Or what are the unmet needs of HCPs? If you are global or in headquarters, you can use a prompt to summarize all the field insight worldwide in a few seconds. And the difference between ChatGPT is here, the answer is trained on the Roche field insight and proprietary information. Now let's get really, really serious, because all the things that I have been showing you today, the internal data, the external data, the network, the voice of the customer, the insights summarized and so on, at the end, everything goes to the decision engine that is the same engine across, irrespective of the channel. It's not a next-best action that is rule-based. It's purely machine learning-driven. And the engine is fed from everything I was showing you up to now. It's working on website, CRM, and on marketing automation. In web portal, basically, the solution acts like a Netflix recommendation engine. So, for example, when we have been putting the engine in the Spanish web portal, we have been increasing the number of page views by 30% in a single month. And why? Because simply a doctor goes to the portal, and the content he will or she will have in the portal will differ because we are going to the portal to recommend some content based on all the data that I have been explaining you up to now. On the CRM, it's a classical next best action content recommendation. I think all of you are pretty clear with that. And on the email, we have two cases. One case is we have a group of HCPs, and we are going to recommend one email campaign that is configured in the system, which is the email that best fits with this group of customers. Second possibility, we have an email, and the solution will create the group of customers that is most likely to be interested by this particular email. Because it's the same engine, basically the idea is to make sure that there is some kind of coordination across the different channels. And the engine is as well doing something called content gap. So if you see that you have customer preferences, but we could not find a content relevant for the particular needs and profile of customer, it's going to tell you that there is no content that exists, or a content exists, you are in Spain, a content exists in Mexico. You can maybe try to see if you can approve it from compliance in your country, basically. What we are working on as well is, which is still in a proof of concept phase, is we are working on a chatbot where you can prompt a business question from a customer in real time, and based on the prompt, it will recommend a content existing from PubMed, from web portal, from a content internally, basically based on a particular business question. It could be used basically if as a medical affairs marketer you want to test some business question, or it can be used directly during a visit. So to summarize at Roche, we are, in the example, the story that I was telling you, we are combining 3 different AI. One, to unify the data. So the project is called Customer Network. The second one is to do summarization of field insight and so on. And the last one is, so it's called Insight Intelligence. And the last one is called Personify, which is for next best action content recommendation, irrespective basically of the channel. And the idea is each of the solutions basically are learning from the other or benefiting from the others. So 1 + 1 + 1 equal to 10, and not to 3. That's it. Question, comment, feedback. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for a very interesting presentation. Maybe one or even 2 questions. First question, what time it taken to implement such kind of, let's say, ecosystem where you're doing all the stuff, and it's, as you shared previously, it was mainly in-house people? Okay, and what was the time and size of the team?
The project was led in-house, the POC was led in-house, and we get augmented resources from companies. For example, for the data unification, I have been working with WNS. We have some people today in the room, so feel free to speak with them if you would like to replicate this for you. You need to differentiate the proof of concept from the scaling. Today, what I'm showing you is live in 80 countries, and I have 3,000 users worldwide. Okay? So, for example, for the linking, for the proof of concept, we had only 1 FTE. It was an internal employee, and it took her a few weeks to demonstrate the viability internally. But basically, it works because behind the scene, we have people doing master data. We have people who have been doing data mesh. We have been building a platform with AWS Redshift, and so on and so on. For the GPT-like, it was as well initiated by 1 single Roche employee, and I think it took her on. She was originally working on the Personify project, and she has been working on the GPT-like during her free time. I think she did it in 1 month or 2 months, something like this. And now we have been onboarding new people just for the scaling, so MLOps, front-end for the front-end developer for the front-end, and so on and so on.
Hi, firstly, thank you. That's a really, really interesting presentation. Really appreciate it. Just out of curiosity, you had NPS up on the screen, and then you had something called a partner score.
Yep.
Are you able to expand on what the partner score is?
Yeah, so basically we are building a once per year survey that we are sending to all HCPs who are basically in the CRM. And in that survey, the objective is to, just for to know, Roche, we don't have any more sales rep. People on commercial, they have a new role called patient journey partner. So they are not here to, they are not anymore incentive on sales, market share, and so on. They are here to build partnership and co-construct solutions related to patient journey. So partner score is an idea that came originally from Canada and that has been endorsed by senior leadership to measure the level of partnership between the ecosystem and Roche. So we use Qualtrics as a technology. The survey is standardized using basically CX, corporate CX framework. We capture still some CX once per year like NPS, CSAT, and effort score, but the partner score itself is a composite score which is built on top of 10 different questions, such as, are you trusting Roche? Do you believe that Roche and you, we share the same outcome? Do you believe that, so basically you have different dimensions such as trust, reputation, you have outcome sharing, you have as well emotion and connection, so it's very CX driven.
And supposedly you then correlate this with loyalty?
We don't measure the loyalty itself because partner score is between a customer and the company. So if we capture partner score for oncologists, we have 10 to 15 brands in oncology. So we don't ask questions brand by brand.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Fascinating presentation. Can you expand a little bit on the challenge of data and data integration, and also your CRM perhaps, what you're using and how you cracked the code to bring everything together?
Good question. So one of the most important data, I did not put a lot of emphasis on this, but the most important data is the consent. Consent, because of data privacy. So basically, we are doing this either because in the country we have legitimate interest or because in the country we have an explicit consent. So we look at the basic element. I think it was the most challenging part. The linking itself was not necessarily complex. It was pushing the AWS instance to its limit, in particular when you have 5 million of HCPs and possibly 500 million of articles and HCP in PubMed. So you can imagine the number of combinations. If you have 5 million of HCPs, they can be connected to 5 million HCPs. You can imagine the number of combinations it is. So that's where you need basically MLOps, data engineer to scale and make sure that you optimize the performance. So one of the biggest work that my team has been doing is clearly to optimize the performance, because before complaining that the system is too slow, you should first optimize your algorithm. But on the unification itself, my main pain point was making sure that the consent framework is good and making sure that we have a good quality MDM.
And you don't use Viva?
No. Or there is probably some people internally who have it, but it's not a corporate solution. And the reason, because all the data here are internal in our system, whereas Viva and Assemblong, you cannot get data on your system. They remain on their platform.